With that, I will introduce you to the most amazing Dr. Carolyn Rubin. She is an expert in leadership development. She is a sought-after life coach, global speaker, author, and best-selling author and host of the fast-growing podcast Empower Fuse. And with that, I give you Dr. Carolyn Rubin.
Thank you, Marianne. It's such a pleasure to be here with you today
It's
and be able to talk about leadership is a relationship, right? So when we think about leadership, a lot of time we talk about, what's the goals or the strategy, performance. That's what we hear a lot. But really, it comes down to leadership not as a title, but leadership as a relationship. Because people, they don't follow authority, they follow connections. We can have titles, we can have resumes that, might be 10 pages long, but it all comes down to the fact that people will follow those who are present. They follow someone who will actually listen to them, someone who cares, and someone who will honor their humanity. And when we think about leadership, that comes alive not in the job description, but it comes alive in the moments in between. So, what we're going to explore today is really leadership and how it truly lives through connection, and why the impact that we leave behind is shaped by how we choose to show up for people. Because many leaders, there's a truth that they won't say out loud. We spend so much time perfecting strategies that we forget the simple human truth. People don't remember our strategies. You were saying this as I came on about Excel spreadsheets, right? Nobody remembers the number of spreadsheets we created or the strategies that we handed out. They remember how we made them feel. And connection, it's not a soft leadership skill. We have to have that connection. It is a strong leadership skill. It is a sustainable leadership. When we can build connection, it'll actually transform a culture, transform a team. It will transform outcomes. I know for me, trust is the currency of leadership. If you think about it, every relationship we have, it doesn't matter if it's personal, professional, team, or family, it rises and falls on one question. Do I trust you? Leadership will rise or fall on one question. Do I trust you? Because they don't say, I like your expertise. Oh, by the way, your resume is perfect. I love it. People will look at you and say, do I trust that you are who you say you are? Trust is not built in big moments. It's built in the small ones. How do you show up? Do you show up when you say you will? That one small moment will build trust. Do you follow through on what you say you're going to do? And you don't need applause. You don't need a pat on the back. You just do it. And do you listen in the presence, or do you listen while multitasking? Because if you're listening while you're multitasking, you're not listening. You're not present. And we own our mistakes and we can't get defensive about them. We take it, we own it. We just figure it out. And my favorite, and this is what I say and I live by, you have to treat every person at every level with dignity. You have to treat every person at every level with dignity, because trust, it's the quietest leadership skill, but it yields the loudest impact. We've all worked with leaders that they maybe weren't the most charismatic in the room. They weren't the loudest. And you know what? They didn't have a corner office voice. But everyone trusted them. That's what mattered. And why did they trust them? They were always consistent. Their actions always aligned with their words, and their presence didn't change just because the audience did. They were trusted. They earned the trust. But here's a question I want you to ask yourself. What is it like to experience me as a leader? So ask yourself, what is it like for someone to experience you as a leader? Do people breathe easier when you walk in a room or when you walk out of the room? Think about it. Do people breathe easier when you walk in or when you walk out? And are you authentic? Because authenticity helps to build connection, not authority. The greatest leaders are not above people, they stand among them. And we build that connection when we're curious, not judgmental. And we ask the right questions. We're present. We're not distracted when we are sitting down and having those conversations. And we are honest. And we are real. We're not just performing leadership, we are real. Because people don't need perfect leaders. And we can try all we want, but it's really difficult to be a perfect leader. But it's key to remember people don't want perfect leaders, they want human leaders. Authenticity is not transparency without boundaries, it's honesty with intention. It's the courage to say, I don't have the answer, but you know what? I'm going to stay right here with you until we get it. I'm going to walk through this with you until we come up with those answers, because we don't have all the answers. And when leaders show up as real people, not perfected versions of themselves, a team will actually exhale. They feel like they can breathe. They'll take on more risk. They'll speak more honestly, and they will feel safe to be human too. Because authenticity, we give people permission to bring the truth instead of a performance. I want people to feel like they can come in and ask a question and get an answer and know that they continue to grow, they continue to do well, because connection is strengthened whenever we do those small everyday gestures. Let's just think about it. What if we call someone by their name? Instead of just saying good morning, what if we say, good morning, Marianne? How are you doing today? When we make eye contact, when we're speaking with them, don't just say it as we pass by a cubicle, but actually stop and look at them and say, how are you doing? And when they're talking, ask follow-up questions so that they know you truly are listening to what they have to say. But here's my favorite. You got to check in on them as a human before you check in on them about a task. If all they see is that you're just concerned about the task, you're never going to have that small moment. So check in on the human before the task and celebrate. Even the smallest of victories, we need to celebrate. They may not have been perfect. We may have stumbled along the way, but we made it happen. Celebrate as if it's Christmas. Celebrate as if it's New Year's. But you need to celebrate, because those small acts, they will build big belongings. I want you to take a minute and think about a leader who shaped your life the most. For me, it was one of my instructors when I went back to school to be a medical assistant. She was genuine with everybody. She was always there to listen and had a heart of gold. She wasn't perfect. She always had her mistakes, just like all the rest of us. She didn't have a title. She didn't even have an office. She had the classroom. That was it. But it was the fact that if you had a conversation with her, she didn't rush you through it. You could sit there and talk as long as you needed to talk. She always had eye contact going. And if you were in tears, she was in tears. If you were laughing, she was laughing. She was right there, truly present in the conversation. But most of all, she believed in you before you ever did in yourself. She is one that would say, Carolyn, you are going to make things happen. You're going to go out and you're going to change the world. And little did I know when I was talking to her 34 years ago, this is where I would be today. But she was a big part of that influence. They believe in you. They connect with you at a level of your humanity, and that becomes a lasting legacy. Now, I want you to take a minute and put into the chat, what is one thing I value in a leader? Or complete this sentence, one thing I value in a leader is. Because you see, what people value reveals what people need. And leadership is meeting people where they are. So one thing I value in a leader is, and see what those responses are, because what people value reveals what people need. You see, strong relationships don't form accidentally. They grow through intentional communication. And communication isn't just about what we say, it's what people experience when we say it. We communicate daily in meetings, in passing by, in just how we see somebody at lunch. We communicate daily. But how do people experience it when you say it? Because it's that emotional footprint your words leave behind that builds the connection. Great communicators create clarity, but they will also reduce emotional noise. They will slow down enough to understand the meaning beneath the message. There's 3 powerful leadership communication practices I want to share with you right now. One of them is called slow the pace to raise the clarity. See, when emotions start to rise, the best thing to do is to slow your voice. Soften your tone of your voice and increase your presence, because that will help to raise the clarity and put the emotions back down. The second one is to seek meaning before offering solutions. So don't just say, hey, go do this. Marianne, I want you to try this, or go do that. Ask for clarity. Help me understand, Marianne, what are you really experiencing? What is really happening, so that we know what solutions to offer? We should always seek that out first and then mirror what we hear. So repeat it back. What I'm hearing is this. Does that feel accurate? Does that sound correct? And that one single practice can prevent a misunderstanding and help build trust with your team, with your family, with your friends. Because if you think about it, most conflicts, they don't come from disagreements. They come from people not feeling heard. And as leaders, our communication, we should clarify, not confuse people. We should understand what's going on, not just assume that we know what's happening with that individual. We need to ask those questions. And above all, we need to empower them to be the best that they can be. Don't diminish them. Any little empowerment goes a long ways. Because listening, it's not passive. It's presence in motion. I have a theme that has been with me for 34 years. It's called Listen with Your Eyes, because it's all about communication, non-verbal communication and verbal communication. We listen with our posture. We listen with our eyes, our attention, our stillness. But listening with our eyes sends one message: you matter in this moment. And people can feel when you mean it. When you listen with your eyes, you're seeing and hearing more than what their words are saying. You're seeing what their body language is telling you. You're seeing if it matches what they're saying. So what I want you to do is think of one person at work or at home right now who needs your presence more than your productivity. And who is that person? What conversation have you postponed? Or what encouragement have you not provided because you assumed they already knew it? Or what acknowledgement have you yet to speak? See, these are opportunities where connection begins again. Because your presence sets the emotional tone. Leadership is emotional stewardship. And your presence sets the tone before your words ever can. So think about it. If a leader is anxious when they walk into the room, what happens? The room tightens. But if they're grounded, then everyone in the room is kind of like, okay, we can do this. Steadies itself out. The leader's encouraging, that room's going to become twice the size that it was when you walked in. But if a leader is dismissive, that room is going to shrink. We don't influence performance. We influence identity. And influence is not about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the most grounded one. Because people will watch how you react under pressure and how you treat people who can't offer you anything. People will also watch how you speak about others when they're not in the room. And they'll watch how you choose grace when frustration is easier. Your influence is shaped in quiet, unglamorous leadership moments, because it really does come down to how do we regulate our own emotions? And how do we regulate the emotional climate of a room? Your calm can become contagious and your steadiness becomes safety. But your belief becomes someone else's courage. So the question to ask, are people rising under your leadership or are they shrinking under it? Here's another question for you. What is it like to grow under your leadership? Do people feel safe? Do they feel supported? Best of all, do they feel trusted and seen? Because influence isn't measured on how loudly we speak, but how deeply people feel our presence. Connection can shape your legacy. And if you think about it, legacy isn't built at the end of your life. It's something that you live every single day. So what do you want your legacy to look like? What's the tone when you walk into a room? The belief you speak into people, or the stability you offer during uncertainty. What does that look like? And what about the compassion you show when someone is struggling silently? Do you ignore them? Or do you take time to see how they're doing? Do you take time to see if they need anything? Because legacy is created in just those ordinary interactions that become extraordinary memories. And when you lead with connection, people will work with heart, not just compliance. They come in and they will collaborate with each other without the fear. And innovation will rise because people feel safe to try. They feel safe to go do because they see that you are. Sometimes it's okay to color outside the lines. We might get more done. It's great to hear other people's ideas. Let that innovation come through because culture will strengthen and dignity becomes the norm. Connection multiplies impact. So far beyond what any title alone could ever produce, it's the connections we make in our life. Marianne, I loved when I joined and you were talking about you don't do a lot with the bios because what do people remember, right? It's not about how many books have I written, how many bestsellers are there, how many things have I done. It really comes down to what was the difference I made in a person's life? How did I empower them to grow? How did I empower them to be the best that they could be and be the success that they wanted to be, right? And at the end of our careers, people won't remember those spreadsheets. They won't remember our schedules or the metrics we created. But what they will remember is our warmth, our encouragement. They'll remember our grace and our belief in them, and they'll remember our presence when they needed someone steady. Because your humanity, when they felt alone, you were there, you listened, you encouraged them, and your ability to see that potential before they ever could, just like my instructor did with me. You pass that message on because leadership is lived in those moments, and moments become memories, and memories become legacy. When we lead through connection, we leave fingerprints on people's futures. And that's leadership at its highest level. How many fingerprints do you have around the world? That's what the connection is all about. Connection is power. It's leadership as a relationship. And relationships are where legacy lives. So you lead where you are. You lead with what you have. And you lead in a way that honors the humanity in every single person you encounter. Because the greatest power that you carry as a leader is the power of connection. And if you choose connection over control, presence over pressure, humanity over hierarchy, you don't just lead more efficiently, you lead more meaningfully. Connection is the power. Leadership is a relationship. And relationships are where legacies live. Everything we've talked about today, trust, connection, communication, influence, humanity, all comes back to that foundational truth that leadership is and always has been a relationship. It's not a role. It's not a resume. It's not a spotlight, but a relationship where the people you lead, a relationship with the culture that you create, and a relationship with the humanity that you're honoring, not once in a while, but every single day. So as I wrap up, I want you to remember, lead where you are, lead with what you have, but lead in a way that honors the humanity in every person you encounter. Because titles don't transform people, connection does, presence does, trust does, consistency does, compassion does, and relationships do. And when you choose connection over control, presence over pressure, and humanity over hierarchy, you don't just become a better leader, you become a leader that people want to follow. Your legacy won't be measured in tasks or timelines, but in the lives you've touched along the way. Because at the end of the day, at the end of every career, again, the truth is simple. Leadership is a relationship, and relationship is the power that changes everything. Marianne, thank you for having me on today. Truly enjoyed this.
Thank you so much, Dr. Carolyn. Oh my gosh. I have like 3 pages of notes. And I think if I had more time, I would. And what did she say? Now I missed that one because I was writing this one down. So I'm going to have to watch the replay, but I agree with everything you said. Literally everything you said. Hang on, let me change the view here so I can see you. Absolutely amazing. So true. Connection is power. It's funny because I was thinking of a specific group that I'm in, and we've got a leader that's a little bit pressure oriented. And I thought to myself, gosh, if you would just focus a little more on um, connecting with the people and helping us that way, as opposed to this is what I need from you. And it's like, I feel like I'm back in my sales job, back when, and I'm like, this is my business. Like, you can't,
Right.
this isn't the way you should be talking to me. Why are you talking to me that way? Like, I don't, the reason I got out of stuff is because people were talking to me that way. Like, this is
Right.
the reason, I mean, you know what? All
Yeah,
entrepreneurship is, let's face it, not for everyone.
that's correct. It's
It's
not.
it's not for everyone, and there's a lot that goes on in entrepreneurship. There's that whole lack of security, and nobody gives me a paycheck at the end of the day or at the end of the week, or now I have this much vacation. Yeah, I might get a vacation that year, I might not. Like, when
Right.
you first, especially when you're starting out, or when there's a big shift in the economy, and I'm not blaming the economy, don't everybody come after me. I'm not, it's just things change,
They do.
I
Yeah.
have, real estate is a big part of my life, and the last year has been very different. So
Mm,
had the pleasure of spending time in other parts of my business, and everything is different, and you have to be ready to pivot. It's like, in 2020 when we all had to pivot one way or
right.
another. I mean, there was so much pivoting going on. I got dizzy. So
Right.
so
I
it
think
was,
everybody did.
I think so too. I mean, there was so much going on, and I finally got to work from home, which is what I wanted to do for a long time. So,
Right.
and sometimes you're stuck. Oh, I got to finish this deal. Oh, I closed this deal. Oh, I'm going to stay here.
Right.
And then I liked where I worked. Like, there wasn't, anything terribly wrong with the office that I worked at. It was fun. But I wanted to work from home. Like, maybe if I could come in 1 day or 2 days in the week, but the boss didn't want that. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to have to do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like that. And this was, yeah, it's like, why are you leading with pressure when that's not what any of us want?
Right.
So, yeah,
It,
there's a lot.
it's it's tough. I mean, when somebody is leading with pressure, and it's one thing to say, look, we got to hit these deadlines, we have these goals, but how do we do it together?
That's right.
You know, it's one, and yeah, we all have those that, you know, we might have to go hit, but it's like be a part of the solution and say, okay, here's what we need, but how do we do this together? How do we achieve the outcome that we need? And again, you're walking amongst them to help get them done, get things done, to help meet those goals. And pretty soon they're all coming up with ideas, right? And we're all like trying different things to make it happen, but we're doing it together. Because to your point, if you just go in with an iron fist and say, this is what we have to do, this is what we have to get done, people are not as productive
That's true.
because they just feel like they're a pawn in a game, not a person sitting there having a conversation.
It's true. And I love the way, what did you do before you became an entrepreneur?
So I've been in healthcare for 34 years.
Mhm.
I actually sold real estate and I
Oh,
owned my own restaurant prior to getting into healthcare.
wow.
But I started out on the clinical side and then went into the operational side and then became just a speaker. I've been doing this for a long time, but most of the time I was on the oncology side. I spent 20 years in oncology and I would travel the states. Key message was listen with your eyes with
Oh,
oncology practices and really helping them to focus on patients and to be able to not just hear what they said, but to really see what they were saying. That was a result of my grandpa, conversations with him because he had cancer. And while he was getting great clinical care, they weren't really hearing what he had to say with the concerns about my grandma. So, Listen with Your Eyes was built from that. And I have spent the last 34 years in healthcare just doing a lot on communication and growth and empowerment. But I've had my talk show now for 2 years,
I love
been
it.
part of John Maxwell since 2018
Wow.
and several other things going on at this point in time, but just absolutely having fun, empowering individuals and helping them to grow into whatever they want to be.
Oh, yeah, totally. Almost everything you said was, well, not almost, everything you said falls right into the whole emotional intelligence here with the bank
It
code.
does.
It's what we repeatedly do. I love, like, there's so many nuggets and so many things that you said, earn the trust. Trust is the quietest leadership skill. It really is.
Yeah.
If you can't have
Hmm.
people trust you, they will never feel safe around you. And if people don't feel safe, they're always
Yeah.
going to be tight, and it's
Yeah.
never going to be authentic. You can't have the authenticity without feeling safe.
Correct.
I had the best compliment. And just this morning before I got on here, I actually had a call and the lady said to me, she goes, "Oh my gosh," she goes, I love how real and authentic you are." And I said, "Yeah, like it's ridiculous. We're all entrepreneurs. Why are you
Right.
pretending this, that, or
Yeah.
the other? Like, you don't need to pretend everything is perfect because I know it's not.
Right.
No one's that good. No one's
Yeah.
that perfect that everything is perfect. It's never going
Yeah.
to be perfect, and that's okay. And stop teaching people and coaching people that perfection is, there's so many people doing that. And I'm like, why are you
Right.
doing that? They're never going to
Yeah.
be prepared for anything. It's like, the helicopter parents. I don't have kids, so I don't know some of the stuff, but it's like, oh yeah, no, everything he does is perfect. No, it isn't.
Yeah.
How's he going to
No,
survive in the
far
world?
from, yeah, yeah, far from being perfect.
Like,
Authentic, yes, but
uh,
perfect, no. I will
yeah,
never.
are your kids really perfect? Like, come
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
You're teaching your kid that everything that he does is perfect. How's he going to survive in the world when the first person that tells him, "Yeah, no, that's wrong." What?
yeah.
It's
It's gonna
like,
be
that's
very
not
tough. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
not.
exactly right.
Oh my gosh. Wait, there was some other things. I'm just because I saw that Andre came in and he must have had some technology issues and must have left because that's usually the way it goes. Let me just see if there's anything I can do here. No, no, it just doesn't look like he's here. So let me see. Speaker. No, no, can't see him anywhere. Oh my goodness. That's okay. He'll be in shortly. I love to soften your voice. So a long time ago, I took an online course with Harvard, And I think it was a negotiation that I had taken. And one of the things was, how you keep your voice just very monotone,
Mm-hmm.
very emotionless. Not that
Yeah.
that's the way we are through life, of course, but when you're negotiating, instead of freaking out over and then going too quiet, it's like just soften your voice. And here we are.
Correct.
I mean, I have to resort to back to, this is why we have two ears and one mouth,
Yes.
right?
That's exactly right.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's
It's,
exactly right. I think there's Andre now, or he's trying.
yeah, that's great. Andre,
I
welcome. We've joined
I
us.
thank you. The camera's not working. I have no idea
Okay.
why. It was working all day yesterday. I did it last night, and now no camera.
It's the 5 retrograde planets, so it's
That's
okay. We'll
great.
make this work. I just want to
That,
say thank you to Dr. Carolyn Rubin for gracing us today. That was absolutely amazing. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you,
stay with
Marianne.
us. You're welcome to stay with us all day or whatever length of time you wish. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Lori will be on. We had to change Lori's because she was actually flying
Oh,
uh, at the time that she was supposed to be speaking. So she is going to join us in a half an hour right after Andre.
perfect. Okay.
cool.
And we're going to
Awesome.
continue to talk to Andre. I'll talk to you, Andre, and we'll talk together. So,
Absolutely. I'm
and
good.
that picture of you is really, he's a good looking man. So
We
enjoy.